This is Recover with Cal, and I'm here to share my journey with you.
This podcast is intended to not only help Callam in his recovery, but also to give hope and support to others who are going through difficult situations in their lives.
All right, welcome back to Recover with Cal. I'm your host, Callam Oliver.
Hell yeah, yes.
And here with my good friend, Gary Nickel.
Man, love your show. Huge fan.
Thanks. Well, you're a big part of it. So
I'm just the fat guy in the chair, man.
Sweet.
Just
hey, man,
out.
no body shaming.
Sorry.
There's
I'm
no
working on
body
it. Yes, I
shaming
have to
here,
work
dog.
on myself. That's fair. You're right. Thank you. I need those gentle reminders.
That's right. Hey, you're beautiful just the way you are. You know what I'm saying?
God, I love you. See, this
I
is
gotta tell that to myself too.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? We talked in our last episode about the rehabilitation.
Yes, the three steps that you had.
And we talked about occupational therapy. We talked about speech therapy.
Yeah.
We talked about psychology.
Yeah.
And we also talked a little bit about the spiritual care that was there as well. In this episode, we're going to talk about physical therapy.
Yes.
And that was like the biggest thing for me. My challenge, all of the challenges, and
not
even
just you,
still,
your family, man, like everyone.
True,
for sure.
But like the mobility aspect to it, like physical therapy was back in University Hospital. Like it was my saving grace of like, oh, thank goodness I get to go down to the physical therapy room. I get a glimpse of the sun, and I get to like move around and just be out of my bed and
get out of that freaking room. Man.
Yeah, and and you're working at something that is going to help your mobility, right? And it did take me a long time to build strength. Yeah. I would say maybe at the 2-month mark after my accident, I started feeling like I could actually like move my arms with some strength. Still, I still have a lot of pain right now with just like me moving and trying to like my body adapting to just like mobility with upper body.
And see that's another thing no one ever thinks about is your body sort of feeds off itself. So your bottom half of your body teaches your top half how to do all this stuff. And then you take away that, all of a sudden all of this has no support and you have to relearn how to use all that again because you don't have the rest of your body to keep you in this position and that position. It's like literally taking your legs out from under you.
Oh, it's insane. It's incredible what I now have to do with my arms.
Yeah. No one would ever think about it. To do everything. Yeah,
right?
That's it.
Yeah, and it's that was what physical therapy was for me. It was just like being able to like break down the barriers to move around.
Yes.
Learn how to like use my arms, use my
the carrot on the stick for you, right?
Yeah, like and use like the mechanics of it was really important for me to understand, like leverage and even like we talked about legs. Learning how to use my legs to help me, like
move.
pivot on them, how to pendulum on them.
Yeah. Like even getting into a vehicle, like a big part of that is lifting and reaching and getting those bad boys in the right position, right?
I here's a funny, this is off topic, of course. We always go off topic.
We do it a lot, yeah.
I'm always talking with my wife and sending her messages throughout the day and, talking. That was the best part of my day was like, try to communicate with my family because I had been away from them for half a year, right?
So much love, dude. Oh, I love your family so much.
So at this one time, I was complaining, and I was complaining because I had got to the point of self-care where I could start to get dressed. I could get myself into bed and pull my legs up, and like, man, the hardest part of my day, and it still is getting my legs into bed. Sucks. But the most hardest part is freaking taking off my pants, putting on my pants, taking off my pants.
Yeah, dude.
And I sent this message to my wife Laura, and I said, man, like, she's like, I'm like, man, I'm struggling here. Like, the hardest part of my day is just like taking off my pants. And she replied, well, you never had that problem before.
I knew it was going there.
Yeah. It's like,
oh my God. Yeah, it's funny, hey? It's always us guys that are so quick to get those pants off.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different concept now. One of those many, many things that used to be one thing, and now in your new life, it's something totally different.
Yeah. And
That's an example of that.
so anyways, like that's some of the things that, I had to start to learn. But physical therapy taught me how to get stronger through exercises in the gym. I do physical therapy in the gym. I learned how to do stretches. Do stretches for like my body. I got to maintain my body now. I have to be careful with my body in that way so I don't get injured. And my physical therapist was a huge part of me being able to be mobile. Absolutely. And I was really fortunate. I had a wonderful therapist, Bonnie. She worked with me at City Hospital. And then she traded jobs, and she went from an inpatient therapist to an outpatient therapist.
Oh, no way. Okay.
And so I had to say goodbye to Bonnie, and I started with another therapist, Katie, and she was excellent as well.
Angels.
But then I got to be able to go back to Bonnie when I was discharged.
When you were out.
From the hospital, and started my outpatient therapies. So she was a huge part of my recovery. And
Cal, I would just love if we could hear from her what it was like to go through all this. That would be so cool, hey?
I did have a conversation.
Come on, really? No way.
Yeah. She said I asked her if she would be okay with it, and I was able to have a wonderful conversation. And you know what? It was a great way for me to kind of close off my time in the hospital.
Yes. And
this is going to be the last episode of this first
season 1, baby.
Yeah, this first season that we're gonna put out of me kind of closing up my hospital stay and being discharged into my outpatient therapy and into living this new life as a
human being,
a human being in a chair, which is, man, there's so much we could touch on with that, and I'm still learning every single day.
That's why it's only season 1. There's so much going on, man.
But but Bonnie was a huge part of my recovery, and I was really fortunate to have a conversation with her. So we'll go ahead and play. We'll go ahead and play that.
Nice, real smooth.
Thanks for meeting with me, Bonnie.
No problem.
I was thinking about this. Today's our last PT day.
Yeah, potentially.
Oh yeah,
as long as you don't drown in the pool. So.
Or I guess if I have other goals, right?
Yeah, I think
I want to get onto.
Yeah, we had talked about this was kind of the last thing we needed to tick off the boxes of things you had identified early on as far as things you wanted to look at, and we're almost all the way there. So.
Right. Yeah. So today we're going to swim, and it'll be the second swim.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to get back into swimming.
For sure. I think that's awesome if that's something you did before, and it's a tough thing to jump right into, but when you can have a little bit of support to see what you need to do, this is the place to do it.
Yeah. So you being my physiotherapist at City Hospital as an inpatient and as an outpatient, that worked out well for me, I think.
Yeah, well, me too, I guess. And that's not usually how it works. Like, usually people are either an inpatient therapist or an outpatient therapist. But the timing with when you transitioned from an inpatient to an outpatient was exactly the same as my transition from working as an inpatient therapist to now I'm taking, a year or two on the outpatient side of things. So then it seemed like a logical transition that I could just keep working with you once you move to the outpatient side. So
I think I was fortunate.
Yeah, well, me too. It's been helpful for me to see somebody on both sides of the coin where I knew them as an inpatient and as an outpatient, because it's a little bit different.
So could you tell us a little bit about yourself as like a physiotherapist?
Yeah. So I graduated from physio school a while ago now. I think it was probably just about, more than 15 years ago now. But I've always worked in Saskatoon as a physio. First, I worked in acute care over at RUH, where you would have spent some time and seen the physios there as well.
Yeah.
And I worked primarily on the neurosurgery and neurology floor at RUH as well, but then still did a few different rotations on like oncology and orthopedics and ICU. But I think it was like I got enough of a taste of the other things to really solidify my passion or interest in the neuro side of things, because it made me really realize that that's much more where my interest lies. And then it was over 10 years ago, I guess now, that I came over to City Hospital and then started working on the rehab side. So I've been here for over a decade now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is quite a career in different fields of physiotherapy. Sometimes I just think about it in terms of like a sports rehabilitation.
Yeah.
But
you're not the only person. I think most people that are physios now went into physio school wanting to become a sports physio. And
Right.
I think that's just like, that's what people think of. That's what people see more often in the private practice world. It's a little bit more accessible to people, or a more common reason to see a physical therapist is something that happened, at home or playing with their kids or sports field. But yeah, there's a much wider range of things that you can do. And once you started learning more about physio, then you realize there are these different areas that you can work in. And then I think people, once they're exposed to different ones, they realize what they really, really like. And it's different for everybody, but neuro is certainly where I kind of found my niche.
Neat.
Yeah.
Can I ask you why you wanted to get into physiotherapy?
Yeah, I think, I didn't always want to be a physio.
Or I guess,
yeah.
not why, but
Believe it or not, Callam, I was almost going to become a teacher.
I actually believe that.
Yeah. That was my original plan, was I was going to become a phys ed teacher. And then I remember I got my letter of acceptance for education, and I just remember being like, and I was like, I don't think this is the right feeling you're supposed to have, when you're starting your potential career. So that just made me reevaluate what I was pursuing. And then I realized, no, I don't think it's like the teaching aspect that I really wanted to do. And I wasn't sure at that point, but I knew I was super interested in kind of just the human body and biomechanics and how the human body worked. So I thought it makes sense to just do a kinesiology degree. So I did that. And then I worked as an exercise therapist in a different physio clinic and was able to see some of the different things that they did. And I was like, this seems more of a fit for me. And really, I think I was like, I didn't want to become a teacher. I just wanted to coach volleyball. I was like, those are very different things.
There is teachers out there that are like that too.
I was like, I could probably just volunteer to be a coach and not base my entire career on being a teacher, because those are two very different things. So
I think you have that gift as to be like an instructor, as a teacher, and I felt that in our physio sessions, because you didn't just tell me what to do, you you taught me how to do it, and you explained the the body mechanics piece. And I was always curious in terms of how does not just why do I have to do this, but it's why does my body allow me to be able to move in this way?
It is really interesting. And I think, and not just in this field, there's other fields too where teaching is an element of what you do. And I guess you're right. I think we even use the phrase where it's we need to teach you how to move your body in this different way now. Because it's your body doesn't move how it did before. So we got to find different ways to do the things that you need to do. But I will say that you are by far and away the most analytical person I've ever worked with, I think, which was really, really neat from my perspective, because it's there was a lot of explanation on my point, and is saying this is why we need to do it this way, because if we do it this way, then this happens. But I don't do that with everybody, because lots of people are I don't want to get into that at all. Just tell me how to get from here to there. Okay. But you, this is the neat thing about, I think, the profession that we're in here, like, and rehab especially, is because you develop these, like, you have to know the person.
Right.
Because it's like you can have two people with exactly the same injury, and it's like if you try the same approach with two people, it might be super successful with one person and not successful with the other. But that's, I think, the case in lots of different disciplines, right? Like, it's working with people at the end of the day, right? Whether you're a salesman or a physiotherapist or a teacher, like if you're teaching a kid something, you can't take the same strategy to teach two very different kids the same thing. And that's, I think, what often keeps a job like this fresh and unique. It's the human element, because it's like, we'll treat lots of people that have spinal cord injuries, but every single person is way different.
Right.
And it was fun working with you, because I also like that kind of thing. It was like, oh, you actually care about why you need to move your shoulders this way to get your hips to move that way. So I think we got to have a lot of fun conversations that typically other people wouldn't have been interested in.
Yeah.
Because you always wanted to know the why behind what we were doing. So it was nice to have those conversations.
Here's another question for you, just like reflection on the work that you did with me.
Mm-hmm.
You had the ability to, teach me how to do something, and then you'd sneak in, like, okay, you could do that. Well, can you do this?
Right.
And like push me to like the next level of, or the next step.
Yeah.
Like, how do you decide when to, like,
when
I
to
guess,
push that next thing
yeah.
versus, sit and take the wins from that particular day. Well, I think there's a couple things that go into it. And like the black and white or baseline of it is like making sure that you have the physical skills to try the next thing. And luckily, just through experience and working with enough people, I was like, I know what your strength is like in your shoulders. I know what your sitting balance is like. So in my head, I'm like, oh, this is possible. Like, this is a reasonable thing to try in the back of my head. I'm lucky enough to have that information. You often probably thought it was outlandish because you don't know the skills that you need to try that other thing.
Yeah.
But when I was suggesting something that probably seemed outlandish to you, I'm like, I know that you'll be able, like, it's going to be scary the first couple times that you try it because it's something really hard or it's something new and it's something novel. But I would know you well enough physically to be like, well, you have the prerequisite skills in order to tackle this next thing. But then it is kind of like walking that fine line of not overwhelming somebody with being like, this is too much.
Right.
Because that often happens for people if it's.
And it is a physical demand.
Yeah.
For, like for me, it was a physical demand. It was like a mental, like
It's
there's
both.
only so much information I can take in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's both, I think. As like the stuff that you're doing in the therapy gym is physically really, really hard, but then because you're trying to kind of integrate why you're doing things and how you're doing it, then it's like a mental exercise that entire time too. But I think part of it too, like, it was a two-way street as far as like you would give an honest reaction when I would say like, is this too much? Like, are we done? Do we just need to like, go to the gym for a little bit and do something that isn't so cognitively demanding and just something that, you have to sweat a little bit? Or is this a time to really focus on this hard thing that we're doing and push it a little bit more?
Yeah.
But a lot of that is like just knowing somebody on a more personal level and being like, oh, I think we're getting close to that line where somebody's going to shut down if we push it too hard, or you're going to be out for the next couple of days because you're going to be so exhausted because it was way too much compared to what we've done previously. But you were pretty good at giving that feedback, even though the eyes would get pretty wide every once in a while when I'd say like, oh, what if we just get on the floor today?
I would always laugh, like when we were working on Florida chair transfer, so that was like my big goal.
That's a big one. Yeah, that's a big one.
And then you'd ask me as an outpatient, so have you fallen out yet? have you fallen out of your chair yet?
Well, it is one of those things where it's not something we certainly don't promote, but
yeah.
I don't think I've known anyone that's, used a wheelchair for their primary mode of transportation for an extended period of time that somehow, some way hasn't accidentally ended up on the ground.
That's right.
So I was
and
like,
then I did.
Right.
And
what happened once you ended up on the ground?
I could get back in.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, and it probably wasn't as scary as it could have been, but it's lots of these things. It's like, it is a bit of a leap of faith. Like these things are going to come and they're going to be really hard when they happen. But through all the work that you did here, it's like, okay, you could pull back on some of those things that you practiced here in this very controlled environment that's safe with mats and transfer belts and help if you need it. But then it's like when you're in the real world, it's like, oh, geez, I'm on the ground. What are my options? But you were able to pull on all those skills that you had. So, yeah.
I took a moment on the ground just to gather myself.
Good.
And then I thought, you know what? I've been working on this for a while. I think I got to give it a go.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Well, there you go. I'm glad you made it out.
So how do you decide with the client of the goals or the needs that someone would have to have?
Yeah. That one really depends on the person's diagnosis. Because here, we see all kinds of neurological diagnoses. So sometimes that's a stroke, or sometimes that's an acquired brain injury, or, often spinal cord injuries like you had. With something like the type of injury that you had, it's easier to set goals because we know that everything above the level of your injury is working pretty well. You were an active, fit guy beforehand. So even if nothing changed, I knew what's possible with the movement that you already had.
Right.
So that's where early on, I was like, well, I know it seems like a long ways away from where you're at right now, but you'll be able to get yourself in and out of a car. You'll be able to get yourself in and out of a chair. You'll be able to, I could list all these things because with the movement you already had, you just had to learn how to do things differently.
Yeah.
So on that side, it's pretty easy to set those types of goals. With other diagnoses, it's harder because the brain is such a interesting, and the spinal cord is such an interesting and plastic element. You don't know how much recovery people are going to get. I've been surprised on both sides of the scale. I've had people who I think, is it reasonable to get up and walking again? Maybe, and then they're running, they're doing fantastic. And then you see other people that don't make as much of a recovery. But based on the diagnosis, and often who people were before their injury really matters on who they are after, because they're the same people afterwards. So if you're somebody who's never done a lot of moving or wasn't really physically active, and had a lot of other medical complications, that's going to be harder after a significant injury to reach some of those goals, just because you don't have some of those pre-existing skills. Versus someone, and you would fall into this category where you were pretty active, you were a pretty good mover, you could ride a bike, you could do all these different activities, and then you have this injury, you right away were like, I want to be able to get outside, I want to be active. That was an important thing that was important to you beforehand. So I didn't have to push you to be like, hey, we got to do some movement today. You were like, I really want to do some movement today.
Yeah.
So that stuff makes it a lot easier to reach some of those goals, compared to somebody who, really, really dislikes exercise and they haven't moved for a long period of time, and maybe they have 2 knee replacements and a hip replacement. Yeah. It's not to say those things aren't still possible for those people, but I would be a bit more reserved in what the goals are.
Right.
But it's still, I would never take those things off the table, because people can change their habits and people can still achieve those things.
Yeah. I think one of in my mind, sometimes I think about what I thought was impossible. And early in my accidents and recovery, I thought a lot of things were impossible. And then slowly, all the tiny steps that I did in physiotherapy it started to become like, okay, well, this is a possibility. This is a possibility.
Yeah. And it's like, we have the luxury, like from being on the other side of this journey of, if I saw on paper a specific level of injury with the spinal cord, it's like, oh, I know that, like, I knew the day that I met you that you'd be doing floor transfers and you'd be in the pool and you'd be doing all this kind of stuff. But the day that, like, you come here, you're so far away from that end journey.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can't accept that information, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I, even talking about those goals, I don't know if you remember this day, but I remember it was early on. And you had all, because life doesn't stop outside of your hospital stay, right? Like, your life is still going on outside of these four walls. And it was a hard day, and you were, trying to figure out what to do with the house and where you're going to live and where you're going to get all this help. And I remember just being like, well, I was like, I don't want to overwhelm you, but I was like, you're going to be able to do all these things. I was like, we don't have to talk about how you're going to be able to take care of yourself and get yourself in and out of bed and get yourself dressed and, drive your kids to school and all those things. But it's like, you got to just trust me that, like, you'll get there. And we can, and then, like, so that kind of settles things down a little bit. And then it's those little bits where it's like, okay, we're not talking about getting in and out of a car right now. We're going to talk about, with two people, getting you in out of your chair to a mat that's the same surface. And then you just build on those little things, little bit by little bit.
It is incredible how even like the smallest first steps that I did, like at like university, hospital, just
oh yeah.
like balancing, just being to be able to like sit on a plinth straight up and down. I had no idea that, okay, that's like the first skill set that you need to learn to do all this other stuff to like
well, and you
get into a car, to drive your kids to like
and
to school or all those sort of things.
Like it really is. And that's the tricky part, I think, where you're trying to like kind of show people the roadmap to how they can get to that end result, but you can't skip all of those other steps that you need to do to get there, right? You have to still do all those little things and take it. It's like, all we're doing is going to sit on this mat today and try not to fall over. Yeah. That's our job today. And once you can do that, then it's going to be easier to work on this next step. And it really is going back to our conversation about having like a logical way of thinking and just being pragmatic about things and understanding the why. In that sense, it's easy to do this roadmap because it's like, well, you have to be able to sit before you can try and move yourself while you're sitting.
Right.
So then now that you can sit, okay, now we're going to do this step. And now that we can do this, we're going to do this step. And it just builds on it from there. But then eventually it's like you've developed this whole catalog of skills that, like, had you thought about this in November, being able to do all the things that you're doing now, it's crazy, like the amount of recovery that's occurred in a relatively short period of time.
And, I've met other people that are further along in their recovery, like years and years. And, like, I watch them move around and, like, transfer.
Yeah.
And, like, they're not even thinking of it. Like, they're just, it's like instinctively they're just doing it. And for me right now, and I know I got to be patient with myself.
Sure.
I got to, like, when I get up, I got to think, like, okay, I got to really make this transfer count. Yeah. Like getting out of bed. It's the first one of the day. Like, so I know I'm pretty far, I'm far away from that level that I see these people at, which is, and I realize like that's okay.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see how they can, it's like instinctively moving, and it blows my mind still.
Yeah, and it's all relative though, because like for you, like sitting up on the edge of a mat now, that you're not thinking about every single thing you're doing just to sit there. But the first few times you did, you couldn't have a conversation. You were just trying to focus just on that, right? So that stuff's instinctual for you now, and it'll continue to progress that way. But that's the other, like when you had mentioned talking to other people that have had an injury like yours and have had it a long time ago, or they've been using a wheelchair for a long period of time. I think that's huge for people to make those connections with other people that have been through something that they've been through. Because even though I've done this for a relatively long period of time, I only have one side of the coin. Like, I can only give my perspective on what I've seen other people do. But I often tell people, and this would be like the shout out to the SEI SASC and like their peer mentorship program.
Yeah.
Because the feedback that we get from people are often like, oh, I didn't know what it would really be like until I went home. And like, oh, had I talked to someone who could tell me that, that would have been really, really helpful. And so I think, like when you can make a connection with somebody who it's never exactly the same, but has actually lived some of the same challenges that you might run into, it holds a lot more weight than me saying like, oh, this is the kind of lift you should get to get into and out of a truck. It's like, no, talk to people that have actually used them or not used them and figure out what works that way, because I think that's probably helpful in the long run.
Yeah. I like, speaking of that, I think every vehicle I've gotten into, I have to do it slightly different.
Exactly, right? And that's the thing where it's like, well, we can practice into this one, but in the real world, and this is, it's like, it's an analogy that's used often, but it's like, we're trying to give you a bunch of different tools in your toolbox, and then you get to figure out which tools you're going to use and how you're going to MacGyver something to make it work, because it's, and that's the difference between inpatient and outpatient, I think, therapy, because it's like, we can do everything in this very nice, controlled environment, but then when you get into the real world, everything's a little bit different. And so being able to take those skills that you learn from an inpatient and actually practice them in the real world, that's when it makes a difference.
Well, I think you really gave me a good toolkit to
well, you've got a
set
few.
me off, right?
You've got a few, anyway.
You know, you gave some good advice, like for continuing recovery. Is there any other advice that you'd give someone, like even me, or you know, those people that will be listening to this, like to help them continue on? Yeah,
I think, and this isn't just specific to spinal cord injury recovery, but I think like working towards any goals. I like the phrase, I can't remember who coined it initially, but it's like, it's a low trajectory towards a distant horizon. Like it's not gonna be super steep improvements at any given time, especially now that you're through this initial phase of recovery. But things are gonna continue to improve, like on average. Your level of function and your level of recovery is going to continue to get better and better and better, but it's probably not going to happen quickly, and there's probably going to be unexpected challenges, like things that you thought were going to be great, and then all of a sudden you run into some, whether it's like a logistical challenge at home or like a medical problem that pops up, because none of us are getting younger either, right? Like you might end up with a sore shoulder, and then all of a sudden things are way harder to do. But I think it's important to give yourself some grace on those hard days as well, where it's like, oh, just because something got derailed doesn't mean you're no longer pushing towards that like trajectory on the distant horizon. It's like, oh, this is a bit of a blip, and it's okay to have a bit of a blip every once in a while. Just stay the course, and on average, things will continue to build on themselves. It's when you like veer off the course for a very extended period of time. That's the tricky part, because then it's harder to get on course. But it's like, if you have a bad day, whether that's like physical or mental too, because that's a huge part of it, I think, it's okay to have a bad day. And that doesn't mean that you're taking a bunch of steps backwards. That just means that it's a bad day, and that if you just stay the course, eventually people's like overall function is remarkable. Like, one of my favorite parts of this is like when you see people years down the road that you haven't been working with forever. And we all like to think that our therapy is magic and we do a great job and everything like that. But it's like, oh, you got way better without seeing me in the past 3 years. And that's like the little, you get the tools that you need in this environment. But then it's like you put those things into practice, and it's remarkable what people can continue to do without, structured therapy per se. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. That and getting the connections with people is huge. Like when you're talking about advice for further recovery, we touched on it before, but on those days, like finding other social supports, whether that's family or friends or community groups or like actual professionals. We didn't talk about it, but like here on the rehab unit, we have a psychologist who's amazing. Because the reality is when people are going through something like this, it's a massive change for most people in what's going on in their life. Like it's probably one of the most significant life events that happens to them, and then they're in the hospital.
Yeah.
And it's easy, from my perspective, just to look at it from the black and white, be like, oh, you have these physical skills you need to work on. Let's learn how to do these physical skills, and then you'll carry on, and life will be grand. But the reality is, it's a unique situation, and I often say, like, it's a privileged position to work at a job like this, because you're kind of thrust into people's lives in one of their most like intimate / challenging, scary periods of their life. And
so vulnerable, right?
Yeah. And I often, and that's like, and yeah, like, so that's a privileged position, because it's a little bit weird to be like, hey, we've never met. Guess what? We're going to spend a lot of time together in the next 6 months, and I hope we get along, because here we go. But I think that's where like the human element of it is really neat, because it's like recognizing how some people are going to progress versus other people are going to progress. It's, I think, important to kind of meet them where they're at and what they're able to do on that day, because and that goes back to like giving yourself some grace if things aren't good. It's like, things shouldn't be good every once. Like, this has been a lot. Like, I'm more concerned with people if they're just like on cloud 9 the whole time and pretending like things are great, because I'm like, well, no, like, this is really hard, and like these are hard days, and these are for some people really dark days to get through. But if you can find that support and just kind of find that consistent vision towards what the end result will be. Yeah. Just not letting those dark days derail anything, because they're going to happen. But then, it's so nice to see people on the other side of it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the recovery continues. I like that. I like your analogy of like having that goal on the horizon that you're going to eventually get to. It doesn't have to happen right away.
Yeah. Low trajectory, distant horizon.
That's something I can live by.
Well, we all probably could, right? Like, nothing's.
That's true.
We all expect. I'm sure you've seen those different memes and stuff, and it's like what success looks like, or what you think success looks like, and it's a straight line up to the top, and like what it actually looks like, and it's a roller coaster, and you go down, you get knocked down, and you get back up, and eventually you get there. But
well, Bonnie, thank you so much for helping me out, helping me get moving again.
Man, it's been a pleasure. It's always neat to make those connections with people that you get along with really well, because it's a long period of time that we spent together getting on and off the floor and all of those other things. So I'm glad you were a good sport about trying all the things that I suggested.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Speaking of getting in the pool later today.
Yeah, that's right. We still have one more session.
One more session, yeah. No, I think it's going to be good. So,
all right.
Awesome. Cool.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bonnie.
No problem. Thanks, Callam.
So it was fantastic speaking with her.
Yeah. You lit up, man. I remember when you were saying you were going to talk to her, and it's like you were pumped, and then after, it's like, I guess it's like that with everyone you talk to, though, right? Like, all of these people you reach out to and reconnect with, they were all such a huge, huge part getting you to this point.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll never understand. I'll never be able to put any of it into words. I see it through you, and I see all the love and appreciation that you have for all of these, I call them angels, all these angels who have helped, like, pick you up, dust you off, say, get in that chair and get back to it. Mm-hmm. It's incredible.
An image that comes to my mind right now is I had bought a painting at the city,
hospital,
from an artist that was just putting her work out there for people to enjoy, and you could buy them if you wanted to. And I was really drawn to one particular one, it's a raven, which is a special meaning for me as an Indigenous person. It's a messenger. A raven is a messenger. And this picture of this raven, what I would think about every time I saw it was that, and it was on my way to therapies, right? I'd always see this painting on my way to therapies, is that I got to learn how to fly. right? Like I can't use my legs anymore. I can't use my lower half anymore. So I got to find new ways to do things, and to fly is a pretty awesome way to move around. So yeah, my journey continues, Gary, in this
flying,
recovery,
man.
because
That's
it's not
it.
done.
No.
I'll never walk again, right?
Well, we don't even know that, man. I always say it, dude. We're in 2025. Like, the future is now. I've seen videos now of like implants going to things that have people walking. Like,
Sure.
the steps are. I know what you're saying, but I'm also saying you can never be. Like,
right. I
you
shouldn't
can never
say
be
never,
100%.
never,
That's
but
it. That's what I'm saying.
I guess what I'm trying
You're
to say is,
okay
like,
with it.
yeah, and well, that's part of my recovery. I have to become
okay
with what I have right now.
Yeah.
And my recovery isn't focused on walking again. It's focused on living again. And I think everyone's recovery and whatever they're dealing with and whatever you're dealing with,
Yes.
I really believe that is a message for everyone, is that, it's to live.
That's it.
And
Choose life, bro.
choose life, because
Choose life.
I did early on, and
Yeah.
I'm still loving it.
Dude, where'd you put the picture of the raven? In your house?
It's in. I have an entrance and an exit that's just for me. Yeah, so it's like I see it every day when I come in. I see it every day when I leave my house.
I love that, dude.
I gotta learn how to fly, dog.
Does it put the wind under your wings every time you say, like, here we go again? Get me out there. I feel like it does.
Yeah, I feel it.
Thank you so much for, again, allowing me to be a part of this, because this is like some of the coolest, most amazing stuff that we've done here, and it's very, very cool. This first season has been incredible, and it's almost like a celebration, because season 1, very hard stuff, lots of very emotional stuff going on, and season 2, it's gonna be all about like the journey and the fun stuff now. And I'm looking so forward to this stuff moving forward.
So many people that I've met.
Yeah.
There's a community that is out there that.
Oh yeah.
That's been awesome to be
so much
to
support.
start to become a part of.
Support.
And earlier on this in our podcast, video cast, one thing that I said was kind of like a theme that evolves is people.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's a good thank you that I want to give out, is all the, thank you to all the people that helped me along the way.
Yeah.
In this last it's over half a year now, but of my recovery journey.
I just want to jump in here as well and thank you for everything that you brought to this studio. Like, every time you're here, everyone says, "Oh my God, I love Cal so much." Like, you're such a positive influence on this family here, and we're all so appreciative of having you. And you being a member of this team just means the world, because you bring all of that stuff, all of that gusto that places like this need to succeed. You have to have that positivity. You have to be all in and understanding we're here to make the world a better place. And this first season is such a great example of that, man. So thank you on behalf of everyone here. It's awesome. Love it.
All right. Well, let's sign off until next time. PM.
We'll see you in season 2,
See you in
bro.
Season 2.
Love it. I love it. I gotta blow it up. Maybe I'll get that right by season 2. Maybe.